Hey everyone, Robin Riley for Bello's Designs. Welcome to my video for the Junk Journal series. Today I'm going to show you how to make some junk journal dangles. And these are made strictly from pieces of scraps that you have lying around. And they're lots of fun to make. You can use them on junk journal pages. You can use them on just about any part of your junk journal. And even I think these would look great as embellishments on cards. So before we get started, let me take this time to invite you to our Facebook groups. Remember, we have two of them. We have the Bello's Design Lounge. That is where we showcase all of our Lavinia products. The other page that we have is called the Bello's Design a la carte. There we showcase all of the other supplies and things that Patty currently has in her shop. The other social media platforms that we are on are Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok. And when you go to those sites, all you have to do is search the hashtag Bello's Designs. So let's take a look at these little dangles a little closer. I just stuck them onto a scrap piece of card. One thing to keep me a little bit organized here, because I tend to get unorganized when making stuff like this. But as you can see, it's just a simple paper clip with a few small pieces of scraps. Here's another one where I not only use a paper clip, but I use a bulb pin and more scraps. Here are two separate ones, one being on a paper clip here, and one being on a bulb pin. But the idea behind this one is I want to show you how to make your own paper beads out of scraps. The beads are actually where I'm pointing here. These other beads, like the wooden ones and the colored ones, those were store-bought beads. Here we have one that takes ribbon, scrap pieces of material and paper, and another bulb pin. And the last one, I have a metal charm, some more scrap paper, scrap ribbon, and a little tag that I created. Okay, after seeing those up close, let me go ahead and show you the materials that I will be using today. So, as I said, I'm going to be using either paper clips or bulb pins. Here you can see those. Something I recently heard about is you can take any of these metal pins, be it the bulb pins or the paper clips, add a handful of those to a plastic Ziploc bag, add a few drops of alcohol ink into that bag, smush it around, and you will create your own colored bulb pins and paper clips. Just a nice little bit of information I ran across. Okay, here are some scrap circles that I've already cut out. Some of these you will recognize. We'll discuss that when we get into using those. More scrap pieces of paper that I've just collected. Here is, I think you may be able to recognize this, especially if you're a coffee drinker. I save those pieces that surround your coffee cup to keep your hand from getting too hot, and I turn those into various items. Here I just have a collection of some beads that I've had for ages. A collection of materials, ribbons, strings. Again, it's whatever you have in your stash is what you want to use. I will be doing a wee little bit of stamping today. I will use the VersaFine Claire Nocturne, the Lavinia stamps that are called the Flower Collection. I like these because they're small and they work great for journaling pages. I also will be using a small acrylic block. Scissors would be a very good idea. Hole punches in various sizes. I have 3 that I'll be using today. I am going to be using the Lavinia round stickers. You may have noticed that when I pulled out some of the scraps. What I have done here is I have already removed the sticker, adhered it to a piece of white card, a scrap piece, and cut it out by hand, just fussy cut it. And I'll tell you what, these stickers are awesome. They're not your typical sticker, and I'm not just saying that. These things have some amazing adhesive on it, and they withstand quite a bit, and I have yet to have one peel off. Same thing as goes for the sentiment stickers. Now, I know Lavinia has come out with more, but this is the first set that we had, so I'll be using some of those. I'm going to use a wooden skewer. This will be to help me create those paper beads. And then lastly, let me show you here. I have a little collection of metal charms. These are from Craft Consortium. Patty has a nice collection of these charms in her shop. And I love using them as dangles on all kind of items in my junk journals. Here you can see I have a nice collection that, like I said, Patty has in the store. Let me show you that bunny. Isn't he the cutest? And I love the pine cones. I think they're awesome. So I will be using a few of those. All right, let's get started. And I'm going to start with the simplest of the dangles. This one just requires a paper clip. And I'm going to grab a circle here. Not necessarily one with a sticker on it. I'm just going to grab a random one because, again, no two of these things ever come out the same. I'm going to need a piece of scrap paper, so I'm going to just dig through my little stash here and grab a piece. And I'm going to need a piece of string. So let me grab that. Now, one thing I forgot to mention when I was going over the supplies is you're going to need a really good, strong adhesive. Typically, when I'm gluing paper to paper, when I'm making my cards, I use the Art Glitter Designer Dries Clear Glitter, and that's great. It's an awesome glue. But when you're gluing on top of metal, this is what I like to use. I have been using Beacon brand Fabri-Tac glue. They also make a 3-in-1 glue. And the best way I can describe this is it is very similar to hot glue, but without the heat. So you get a pretty immediate bond. You get a few seconds to play around, but then it holds. And so far, I've yet to have anything fall apart. Okay, so using this, let me pull this off, show you the back side of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first start with this piece of paper. Now, you need to take a moment and think, maybe not, whatever. You can make these randomly and just use them whenever. But if you're planning on using this immediately, you want to make sure you wrap this scrap piece of paper around the proper part of the paper clip. So play with it a little bit. And this is what I mean. Now, I just slid this through the base. Here's that open piece at the top. I slid it through the base, and I'm going to just simply fold over a portion of it. Now, that being said, this will be the direction that I will be clipping it. Now, you'll have to keep in mind, if you want it to go on the other side of the paper, you may want to realign your scrap pieces so that it fits. So it's just something that you kind of learn as time goes on, the more you play with these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that Fabri-Tac here because I want a quick adhesion so you don't have to wait. I don't use much of this. It does ooze out of the bottle no matter which way you hold it. Even if you set it down straight up with the tip aiming towards the top, you'll still get some oozing. So make sure you put that cap on immediately. I'm going to just fold this and let this adhere to itself. And as I'm holding that, I'm just going to cut out a little triangle from the bottom so I can create a small banner. Okay, see how that goes? Now, you could ink these edges if you wanted. I am not going to take the time to do that today. I just want to show you how to create that little dangle. Okay, once that's in place, here you can kind of see, let me show you. Whoops. Let me show you the back again. Okay, that's like the first step. The next step is to add a piece of string. I tend to cut more than I need simply because it makes life so much easier for tying. So I'm just going to do a single knot, nothing fancy here. Now, depending on the type of the string that you're using, you may want to separate the ply. So here, this is, let me see how many ply is this string. Oh my goodness, maybe 8 ply. So it's kind of fun sometimes to separate those to give it a shaggy look. Or if you like just that solid look, you can just leave it like that. But since I did that one side, I am going to go ahead and pull these apart just to give it that shaggy look. Now I'm going to take that same beacon glue, put a dot here just on the paper, apply the string. I just have to hold it for a few seconds until it sticks. The other nice thing about this glue is if you get it in an area where you really don't want it, it's kind of like the old rubber cement where you can rub it and it will come off. Now, the last thing is just to apply this little circle. Now, the first one I did, I used a sticker and a hole punch and punched that out. But this time I want to do something a little bit different. Okay, so there you have the first very simple, easy and dangle for one of your journal pages or even on a card for an extra embellishment. All right, let me move on to the next one. And the next one I'm going to show you is this one. This one simply uses a paper clip, and you can see these are the large paper clips. I'm going to use a piece of string, some ribbon. I'm going to use one of the bulb pins and a few seed beads, and then I'll attach a small circle to the bottom. Let me set that to the side and we'll get started. Now with this, you have to again take a moment and think how you're going to want this to hang. So where your embellishments will be hanging is the base you want to work from. You want to always be able to use that paper clip. If you went this direction and hung, let me show you, you could only hang it then from the bottom, and that's fine. Maybe that's where you want your dangle to be. I wanted mine to come across the card from the top. So again, just take a moment and think about the direction you want this to hang. Okay, so I'm going to start on this one with a piece of ribbon first. So let me grab a random piece of ribbon that I have. I like to lay it out first and then make sure I'm putting it all on in the correct direction. You'll see as you play with these, sometimes they overlap one another and you don't like the look of it. So just think about that for a second, how you're going to do that. Taking another piece of string, I'm going to have that on the dangle. I'm going to need a bulb pin with a few beads. Now I'm going to line this up exactly as I did on my first card. Or my first, on this one that I showed you. I'm going to do it in the same exact order that I built it. So the first thing I did was I created a slip knot on the base of this, simply putting the loop. See, I made the ends even of that string, folded it in half, the ends are even, and there's a loop. I'm going to take the ends, pull it through the loop, and a gentle tug. And now that is in place. Now, I do add a dot of the art glitter glue on here to keep that knot closed so that it doesn't work its way off. That's something I will do later at the end, but just keep that in mind. You may want to add a nice little dab of glue to hold that from coming undone. Okay, next I'm going to just cut a small piece of ribbon. And like I did with that paper on the first dangle, I'm going to just simply push this through the paper clip and fold that over onto itself with a little bit of that glue. Let me get this glue in place. Okay, don't need much. This ribbon is rather thin. Okay, so let me just fold this over onto itself. I'm not worried about being too neat. I kind of like the ragged look of this, but okay, it's all up to you how you want yours to appear. But I want mine to be a little jagged. I don't care that it's not perfectly folded and that I have a crease there. That's okay. Okay, next, I am going to add this bulb pin. Now, I'm going to put the pin on first and close it because I need to make sure I'm going the right direction with this bulb. I want it not to be kind of wonky. I want it so that it'll lay flat on my card. So again, the more you play with this, the more you'll see the direction that you like these to appear. Now I'm just going to grab real quickly, let me grab a couple seed beads here. Try not to make a mess and spill them everywhere. It's what I don't want to happen. All right, I'm going to just randomly pick some colors. Let's go with this pretty pink. That brown fell out, so it's a winner. Get that on the pin. And I'll go with an orange one. All right. I'm going to get this in place before I close it. Some of this is fidgety, but it's all fun. It's all fun. Okay, so there are those three elements. Real simple. No rhyme or reason why I chose what I did. I just chose it. And lastly, I'm going to take a scrap circle again that I have cut out. Let's see. Let's find one that orange is kind of pretty. Oh, that matches good. I think I'm going to stick with that orange. And you know what? To add a little bit of interest to this, I think I will bring in one of those cute little flowers from the flower collection from Lavinia. And I'm going to just use some Nocturne VersaFine Clair. And I'm going to just place that on that little circle. Okay, add just a little bit of interest to that circle so that it's not just dull. And I'll add a little glue. Again, I'm going to use the thicker fabric glue so that I get a quick stick here. And now I have another dangle to add to one of my journals. Okay, now let me show you what I was talking about as far as adding that dot of glue. I tend to turn it over and I will take that Designer Dries Clear Glue. I'll get this a little closer for you. And I like to place it where all these pieces of the string meet. And it will dry clear and it'll be nice and solid. Then you won't have to worry about that falling off. Now, if you don't like the length of that string, you could cut it. All up to you. It doesn't matter. It is your personal choice. So here you can see the first one I created, and then there's the second one I created. Cute little dangles. Gotta love them. Okay, the next one I want to show you how to make these paper beads. And I think you're going to see that they're actually pretty easy. Hang on here. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get myself better organized. I think you're going to see how easy these actually are. So what you have to do, let me set both of these to the side. You need to grab a long strip of scrap paper. Doesn't matter the width. You know what? This is, again, this is all up to you. They don't have to be cut evenly. It just, you know, it's just a strip of paper. No big deal. And going to need that skewer of some sort. This is a skewer that would be used for making kebabs. Okay, if that gives you a better idea of the size. I'm going to just simply take this paper and I'm going to wrap it around that skewer. See, all I'm doing is rolling the skewer, keeping the paper, I don't know if you can get a good view here, trying to keep the paper as tight as I can around that skewer. And does not matter how many times you wrap this around. This is just all up to you. So I'm coming in with that stronger glue here. Again, I'm really doing this mainly for the speed of dry time, but you could definitely use any other type of glue. You'll just have to hold it in place until it sticks. So you remove the skewer at this point, and I'm going to hang on just for a second here. I'm going to trim off the excess paper. Give that a good squeeze. Now, I have seen people take their beads at this point and bring in an ink and dip the edge into an ink to give it a finished look. That is your choice. If you would like that look, it's just a simple dab into the ink, kind of finishes off that bead. All right, let me let go and see if this is ready to hold on its own. It should be awfully close. Okay, I'm going to let that one just sit there for a second. All right, I'll demo one more for you. And let me see if I have a... Here, we'll use this one. This is a neat piece of scrap. This came from an ATC card that I created. So once again, just take that piece of paper, wrap it as tightly as you can. Don't worry if it's not perfect. That, you know, the perfection is not needed in anything. That's the reason I like junk journaling so much. You can just let yourself go and not be so concerned about the perfection. Okay, this one I'm going to make this the whole length. I'm going to make this one nice and thick, this bead. Okay. See, as you can see, it's not perfectly wound, but that's okay. It's good enough for me. Okay. Now, you could remove that bead at this point and add the glue, but I tend to hold on to it just a little bit longer and adhere those ends together. Now, this paper is a little thicker, so it's going to take a little bit longer for this to adhere. All right, let me, as I'm holding this, I'm going to grab my string. All right, let me see. This is pretty, I can use this string. Okay, now, I like to add a bead on the bottom, just kind of, I think it looks cute. Plus, if your circle is not small enough, you have to keep in mind, you don't want this to fall off of the string. I'm going to be using a very thin piece of string here, so that bead will help hold this in place. Let's see if that's going to hold. Yeah, it is. All right, let me grab a different bead, something that's a little bit thicker. Let me see. See if I can get my... I'm trying to find one that has a bigger hole so that you don't have to sit here and watch me try to thread this over and over again. All right, let me see if I can get this one to go in easily. that's going to go through. Okay, I like to tie a nice knot here in the string. Now, once again, you could add a dab of that designer's white glue here, art glitter glue, to hold that to keep it from coming undone. Okay, but I'm going to just proceed here. So there's the bead on the string. Next, I would string one of my paper beads in place, and you see how this pink bead is going to keep it from falling off of my string. Let's just add, you know, actually what I'll do is I'll make two separate ones. I'll do like I did here in the example. Let me make a knot again. I'll string one more bead onto here. All right, and then our last paper bead. Naturally, this is going to be a little tough to get through. Here we go. I think I got it this time. Twist that in. Pull that through, and then I'll add my paper bead to the top of this one. A little bead on the bottom will hold it in place, and then with these, I'm going to just tie these together. Okay. There's a dangle. Now, you could actually just glue this dangle onto your paper, like right at the knot, you could glue it. But what I like to do with these is I will come in with one of the bulb pins, and I will just feed this pin through the knot. Try to get to the center. I just feel it's more secure if I get it through the center. All right, and that would be just a very simple dangle to create for one of your pages. Now, these dangles can be pinned directly through your card, or you could pin it onto another ribbon, let's say, if you had a ribbon on your card or in your journal. So there's a lot of ways to use this type of dangle. Okay, moving on. Let me show you one that uses a combination of items. All right, this is the one that I find I truly need to lay this out in the order so that I place this with, I want to see the word on the top. So that's why I say you start with the correct order of putting everything on the pin, and you won't have to take it off and do it all over again. Ask me how I know. So we need a pin. I'm going to use one of the bulb pins. Let me grab a chunk of ribbon, and I happen to have that same ribbon here, so I'm going to grab that and simply make a knot in it. Just a single knot, nothing fancy. All right, so I'm going to need that. Let me get that a little bit nicer of a knot. All right, there we go. So I need that. Here I just have simply a strip of paper, nothing fancy, just a strip of paper. And I'll take, I have this teeny tiny, I don't even know the measurement of this. This makes the teeniest, tiniest of holes. So I will just punch a hole here, and that will be fed over the pin. Next, I'm going to use one of our sticker stamps. Absolutely adore this one. Remember, I had already adhered it to a piece of cardstock. I'm going to, again, one of these small holes in the circle. Next, I have a random piece of lace that I had laying around in my stash. So I'm just going to cut off a chunk of lace. All right. Then I had one of our stickers. And this sticker is already adhered and trimmed down on a piece of white card. I'm going to come in and punch that teeny tiny hole one more time so that it can be placed on the pin. And this time I'm going to put it here because I want to be able to see that word. I don't want it to be hidden by the hole punch. Okay, so let's start the order that we want this pin to be seen. Let's hope I do this correctly. Okay, first I'm going to place the pin through the ribbon, sliding it down. The next piece will be that long random piece of scratch paper. Get that fed through that hole. Next, I have this cute little toadstool sticker on here. Then this random piece of lace. And then my word magical. Close that up. And there you have it. A sweet dangle to add to a journal or a card. Now, if you don't like the length of this, like I'm looking at it and I'm like, nah, I'm not too crazy about that. Plus, I would fiddle with this so that when I adhered it, it would lay flat enough. So chances are I would glue this ribbon down here onto my card or my journal page. And then that way everything stays in the order in which I want to see it. Now, you don't like how this looks, then you could turn this into a banner very easily. Okay, and there you have it. Now, let me show you. Lastly, this one. This one is using a charm. Again, I'm going to use a bulb pin. Here, I'm going to just use this silver one this time. And let me grab that piece of... Remember, this is a piece of cardboard that I saved from a coffee cup. I'm going to punch that hole once again, this teeny tiny hole in here. Okay. And I need another random piece of ribbon. Let me see. You know what? I'll just use this gold again because it's on the top. I'm going to use one of the stickers. We'll use the word inspiration. Let me punch out a hole in here right now. And lastly, I'm going to use a charm. This time around, why don't I use... Let me use that rabbit. He's one of my favorites. Again, he's from Craft Consortium, and this is the Farm Meadow collection. Awesome little charms. All right, now I am going to stamp one of our flower collection stamps. This time, let me use, well, I'll use the same one there, that nice little plumper flower. Okay, using the VersaFine Nocturne. And I'll just do a quick stamp on here. And a second generation. Oh, might do a little bit of a third. There we go. Looking cute. I like that. Again, I'll just keep in mind the order in which you want things to be seen so that you place them correctly onto the pin. So this will be my first, that piece of cardboard. Then I'm going to get this knot tied here, and I'm just going to pin through this knot quickly. Let me cut off the excess now. All right, let me pin through this. I want to keep this on top of my cardboard piece. I'm going to add my inspiration. Remember, that's just a sticker from the Lavinia sticker sets, and I stuck it to a scrap piece of white cardstock. And then lastly, I'm going to add my hair, that little bunny rabbit, and give that a close. And that dangle is ready to go into a journal, a junk journal, or it can go on top of a card. So let me bring in all the ones I made for you today. We'll kind of go in reverse here. Here's the one that uses one of the metal charms that Patty has in her store from Craft Consortium. This is the hair, and then this is the from the butterfly set. Both are like really sweet, I think. Here's one where I used a combination of ribbon, leftover ribbon. I used the Lavinia stickers, and all I did was fussy cut the sticker out. A piece of lace, one of the sentiment stickers. All of these are on the bulb pin. Trying to get that out there so you can see it better. Okay, the next one we did was the paper beads that I created. These are the ones we did today, just scrap pieces of paper that are rolled over a skewer and then placed on a string. Remember, the bead on the bottom keeps it from falling off, and you probably should go in there and put a dab of glue on that knot just to hold it in place. Okay, this one was simply a combination of a paper clip along with a bulb pin, the seed beads, some scrap ribbon. This was hole punched. I used a 1-inch hole punch from one of our stickers just so I could see the hair. On this one, again, it was just a 1-inch hole punch, but I used one of our stamps. And then lastly, the easiest of all, these are just simply pieces of paper, circles. Well, first the banner was cut from a scrap. Then I used the 1-inch hole punch to punch from scrap paper and a sticker. And then these adhere to the side of a card or a page on your, let me get that back on there, a page on your journal page. So those are just some fun dangles, just ways to create embellishments using scraps that you currently have. You don't need anything special. Just dig through the house and find some random pieces like I did the cardboard that came from the coffee cup. Hey, I hope you enjoyed watching this. These are fun to make, and if you want to have a mindless activity and just create, it's fun to just batch make a ton of these, and then you have them in your stash so that when you're ready to put together, be it a card or a journal page, you'll have all of these at the get-go. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.